Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to unpack a deeply frustrating yet incredibly common paradox: why your salary keeps increasing every year, but somehow you are still completely broke.
Picture this. You just found out you're getting a 3 lakh rupee raise this year, or maybe even a 5 lakh rupee raise. It's a huge milestone, right? Mathematically speaking, a bump like that should instantly make you feel wealthier. It should give you breathing room, peace of mind, and a real sense of financial security.
Yet somehow, you reach the 28th of every single month, you pull out your phone, stare at your bank balance, and genuinely wonder, where on earth did all that extra money actually go? You're literally making more than you ever have in your life, but your savings account looks exactly the same as it did 3 years ago. So how is that even possible?
Part 1. The Trap. Lifestyle Inflation.
This is happening to millions of ambitious young professionals right now. And surprisingly, it has almost nothing to do with your actual income. It's a silent drain. Let's look at how it traps you chronologically. It usually starts super modestly with your first salary. Maybe you just upgrade your wardrobe or start eating out a bit more. But then it escalates. You get a raise, so you finance a much better phone. You get another promotion, so you take on a heavy car EMI because, well, you feel like you've earned it. And before you know it, your daily cash flow becomes entirely dependent on Swiggy, Zomato, and Uber rides. Your expenses haven't just grown with your income, they have grown significantly faster than your income.
Part 2. The math. Why income isn't wealth. To actually permanently fix this, we need to completely shift our mindset and look at the absolute mathematical difference between earning money and building wealth. You see, earning a high salary, say 20 or 30 LPA, gives you a high income, and that's great, but it's really just cash passing through your hands. True wealth generation only begins when you have high cash flow, and by high cash flow, I mean maintaining a sustainable 30% savings rate. Not through extreme forced deprivation where you just burn out and binge spend a month later, but through structurally sound financial habits, where retaining that 30% feels totally effortless.
This is why we often measure the completely wrong things. Comparing your absolute net worth to someone else's can honestly just demoralize you. Why? Because net worth is primarily just a reflection of time past. Your current financial habits, on the other hand, reflect your actual future trajectory. You can't control time, obviously, but you have absolute control over your daily financial behaviors.
Part 3. The Conflict. Invisible Financial Leaks.
Even high earners pulling in massive salaries remain highly vulnerable, all because of invisible financial leaks that silently drain their wealth. These leaks are incredibly insidious. They include things like operating without a liquid 6-month emergency fund that is specifically calculated for your essential expenses, like rent and groceries. They include holding on to high-interest, toxic credit card debt, taking on EMIs that consume over 20% of your income, relying entirely on your employer for health insurance, or just generally lacking clear goals that are adjusted for a baseline 6% inflation rate.
If you want to systematically plug these leaks, you have to actively balance the 6 deterministic pillars of financial health. Those are savings, emergency funds, insurance, investments, debt, and retirement. You cannot just focus on 1 or 2 of these. They are an interconnected ecosystem.
Because the danger of ignoring even one of those pillars is actually quite severe. Think about it. If you aggressively invest all your surplus cash into the market before building a proper emergency cash buffer, you can completely destabilize your entire financial system. If a sudden crisis hits, you are forced to liquidate those investments at a loss. So, in trying to improve your investments, you silently destroyed your liquidity.
Part 4. The Industry Flaw. Traditional finance operates in silos.
But here's the catch. If you try to fix this holistic system using traditional finance, you run into a massive structural flaw. Traditional institutions are totally fragmented. Banks, they only care about your credit score, which is honestly just a measure of how good you are at taking on debt. Investment apps just want you to trade so they can boost their assets under management. Insurance agents care about selling policies for commissions. The glaring issue here is that absolutely nobody tells you if you are actually holistically financially healthy.
This industry flaw led us to a very important question. What if there was an objective, mathematical way to measure a person's total financial well-being? Not just their isolated investments, not just their salary, not just their net worth. What if there was an unbiased way to see exactly where your finances stand?
That exact question is the foundational idea behind NitiVitt, India's premium decision platform.
The whole point is to turn raw data into actual financial confidence using deterministic, unbiased logic. It's about moving away from the noise of getting rich quick and moving towards what we call wise wealth.
Instead of tracking one single vanity metric, we created something called the NitiScore test. It's an objective 0 to 1,000 benchmark that evaluates all 6 of your financial pillars simultaneously. It measures your real financial behavior and reveals exactly how resilient your wealth actually is.
Because our goal here isn't to blindly sell your products. The mandate is always education first. We want to explain the why to you, using transparent, auditable math way before we ever suggest the what. Logic over opinion.
Ultimately, this whole explainer proves a very simple, maybe slightly harsh reality. Getting a higher salary will never ever create wealth if your underlying financial behaviors remain broken. If your lifestyle inflation outpaces your income, you will always feel broke no matter how much you make. Your behavior is what actually dictates your future.
At NitiVitt, we believe in a very specific approach. While AI does an amazing job at assisting and explaining your roadmap in plain English, pure mathematics is what decides the absolute most optimal path to your financial freedom. Know better, plan better, grow better. So if you take away anything today, let it be this. Money isn't about earning more. It's about making better financial decisions. At NitiVitt, our mission is simple: wise wealth for every Indian. AI assists, mathematics decides. If you are finally ready to stop guessing and want to calculate your own unbiased NitiScore test, visit NitiVitt.in today. Because seriously, ask yourself, are you really in control of your wealth if you can't even measure it? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.